Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. Probably fed of me already. My next guest, I'm just going to bring us straight on, is the lovely Ashley Storm. Hello and good morning.
Good 2:00 in the morning to you from here.
I know. I was going to say, bless you. You've got up to do this interview for us, and we very much appreciate. It's your turn today, and then we had the other guys yesterday doing that for us, and you've done it today for us, and we do appreciate it. So thank you for doing that.
Of course. But you and oh my gosh, you and Jolene, don't thank me, thank you two, because I've been trying to stay up to share every single one of them, and I'm like, I can't. I gotta take a nap. And you two are just rocking this so hard. I'm so proud of you guys.
Yeah, it's all a false pretense. Believe me, honestly, like flagging like you would not believe. But it's fine. It's fine. We are on the last stretch. We are on the last day. So, and it will all be worth it. And what I forgot to say already this morning, so I'll tell you all now. I don't know if it's changed now, but I did check the total prior to the last interview, and it was at £1,102. So I'm not sure what it's at now.
There.
Almost there. Almost there. So, Ashley, you're part of the Warren Foundation. You've got your podcast on Storm in the Unknown. You've got Profoundly Paranormal. So, lots and lots of different things that you're doing. So, give us a little bit more of an explanation about who you are.
I also am now the co-owner of the Broken Bow Asylum in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. So we've started revamping it, making it just completely catered to a paranormal investigator's just most epic experience in a location. You know, there are so many times that we go into locations and pay like $600-700 to get 6 hours of investigating. About 2 hours of that is equipment setup. Mm-hmm. So then we get 4 hours to really kind of like get to know this location, and that's definitely not enough time. So every single one of the packages that we offer is over 18 hours. We offer like rooms to sleep in. That way you don't have to spend money on travel and hotels and stuff too. We'll have like a little makeshift kitchen so people don't have to spend money on going out to eat. They can just bring their stuff, warm up a can of raviolis or something, you know. And then a base room where we'll have DVR set up to where if a team doesn't have their own DVR, just pop ours in, or ours will be recording, and then we have another slot for others too. So I mean, it's just going to be like the Disneyland for paranormal investigators. At least I hope.
Amazing. See, and that's why I got you to explain, because I was thinking, I thought, I'm sure there's something else, and the brain is not. It's not fantastic this morning. One interview after another. First, it just the brain boggles.
Especially when you've been doing it so long. You've literally just been getting them out there, girl.
Oh, yeah, it's been a very long weekend, but very worthwhile at the same time. So I'm guessing that's why you came up with the Broken Bow Asylum, because of, like you said, the costings and everything for everybody, including yourself and others. Mm-hmm. So where is it based exactly? And is that kind of how, is it yourself? Is there a team of people?
No, so it's in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and I actually ended up becoming co-owner because about 2 years ago I was on family vacation, and normally during the summer I like doing outdoor activities, but I was pregnant and couldn't. So I was like, well, I like to go ghost hunting and investigating, so that's what I'll go and do, and found this location randomly in the middle of Broken Bow and asked the guy who owned the building, hey, do you mind if I go in there, work for the American Ghost Hunter Show, just do a live stream, you know, it'll probably bring you a lot of attention, so when they run the haunted house, you guys might boost your numbers. And sure enough, that Halloween was the best one that they had after we did the live stream there. And he was just so amazed at how many people were actually interested in this place as a paranormal location that he asked me to run events during the summer. And those went so well that he asked me to be a co-owner.
Oh, wow.
Little things.
That's amazing. And what sort of activity have you had there?
So there are so many different, I've never experienced a location. That's not true. There's one other location that's like that, and that's Ballinger Hotel in Ballinger, Texas, where it seems like every few hours the place completely shifts and changes. Like it becomes a whole new place and whole new like dimension. Like it just keeps evolving. And then like, okay, so during the day, it's absolutely insane. We have a lot of our workers, like our construction workers. So it is just myself who owns it, and the co-owner runs the haunted house part. So in October, they run the haunted house, and the other 11 months, I run paranormal stuff out of there. And they won't go into the building alone. We had one guy who was working on the building who was like straight out of a federal penitentiary for 10 years, like hardcore dude. And he was doing some work for us. And he texted Andrew and was like, hey, if I pay him out of my pocket, can my cousin come up here and help me? Because I keep feeling like somebody's watching me. Somebody keeps coming up behind me. Like somebody's about to attack me. I just don't feel safe here. So, I mean, this hardcore dude is asking, for backup. We have instances like that there all of the time. Every single group that I've brought through so far has that sensation of somebody being right behind you, and you feel somebody like breathing on your neck. And we've been doing live streams with Alex King, actually. When I was doing the American Ghost Hunter show, I was doing a live stream there. And as I'm using my breath to talk in a sentence, I say, oh, he's right behind me. I know he's right behind me. And as I'm using my breath to talk, you hear in like a deep man's voice, just like come through on a live, just
wow,
right there. People get stuff thrown at them all the time. This we have it documented in rooms where we'll go in and have everything documented where it's in place, and then have an item from 3 halls down end up in the room with us thrown against the wall. We have videos where we're sitting there and you ask them to move. They're very I don't like treating animals like it's a circus, so I definitely wouldn't do it to humans, and that's kind of how I feel like how we go into locations sometimes. Move this, do that, can you do this, do that, and we're not even asking nicely, we're just kind of commanding them to do it. And it drives me nuts. But in this location, they love showing what they can do. So we'll walk into a room and then all of a sudden the door just goes and opens wide up, and you're like, hey, can you move it a little bit more for me? And it'll move. They'll do what you ask. We'll be walking back through a hallway where there's nobody else, and have lanterns or items again from other rooms just like sitting in the middle of the hallway, or sitting up on top of shelves and stuff lit up, like props from our Halloween run that aren't lit up that entire time, but randomly like get turned on and left there. We've had during broad daylight, had a little girl. She's one of our more prevalent spirits there. And she just, this was the first time that I ever saw other people's reactions to something like this, because I experience it all the time, really. But, people who don't get that. Yeah. And so the girls who work the haunted house were like, I want to see what you do in here with the paranormal stuff. I was like, okay, you asked for it. And I took them over to one of the wings, and we're sitting in the middle of the room. All of a sudden, just clear as day, you hear a little girl go, hey! And they all looked at each other and went, fuck that, I'm done, and walked out like, nope, this is too much. The police that come and sweep the building, there's only one policeman that will consistently come. All the other ones are like, nope, because they've gotten touched while they're in there, or they see the people walking when they know there's nobody else in there because they just cleared the building. Like they'll come out and then see a shadow walking in front of one of the doors and stuff, and they're just like, mm-mm. So I have one policeman who works with us constantly because none of the other ones will go in that building.
Oh my goodness. It comes to when the law enforcement won't even come to the building. You've got a great place. See, in my opinion, you've got a great place on your hands if the police won't even come and enter the building.
Well, one of them, it was so funny because, and I will never forget this, the way he looked at me when we were in one of the rooms in that wing, that same wing, actually, in the room that we heard the little girl go, hey, it was the room right across from it. And he's clearing out that room, and he like comes skittering out of the room like this, like the whole like Scooby-Doo run type thing. And he was like, how am I supposed to shoot a ghost? I just got touched. Like freaked the heck out, just baffled, because he knows what he felt. And he's like, how do I shoot a ghost? So when he realized he couldn't, yes, when he realized he couldn't shoot a ghost, he was like, I'm never coming back. So he has not come. He'll like drive by and be like, you good? And give me like the thumbs up. And I'm like, yeah, we're great. But he will not come and actually clear the building for us anymore.
Oh my goodness me. That is mad.
It's
good, but it's good in the fact that he won't come in, which at least you know it's supposed to be law enforcement. They're supposed to be brave, yeah. But then it must have really freaked him out to not want to come back in the building at all.
Oh yeah, because they all have stories. And when I was first doing the first round of like live investigations, like 2 summers ago, I constantly, and still to this day, when I'm in there investigating, because like Brokenbow's a very, very small town. Basically, anybody who's still there grew up there from generations of their families being there, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I constantly have people stopping out front and telling me stories that they've either had in there when they worked in there, their family members have had in there. I've had 3 different retired police officers stop and come and tell me the stories, because it's been open since the 1950s. So when they shut it down, there was like a 10.
I was going to ask you that, how long it's actually been there and how long's it been going?
For a long time. And so there was a 10-year period where it was shut down, and all of the electricity was cut off to this building. And the police would keep getting calls. There's lights on in the building across the street. You know, we see somebody walking around in there, all this stuff. And they go and check it out, and nobody be in there. And the lights, there was absolutely no explanation, because there's the power company doesn't even have this, you know, under
it's not even
contract. There's no reason for it. Yeah,
wow.
And always have little stories like that, and the feeling of uneasiness that they would get when they go in there. But that has a lot to do with our main spirit that lives there. I call him Nick. It's his nickname, because I have an agreement with the family. A lot of the times we're so focused on, I guess, kind of the allure that and spirits or energy story can bring to us, that we forget that they have living relatives, that there are still people that can suffer from the collateral of these stories you're telling for them. So I always make contracts with the families. If they want to tell me the story, wonderful. I never use the names. I give them nicknames, but his was the first one actually that I did that with. So I called him Nick for his nickname. But he was very, very anti-establishment in life. Like, this is coming straight from his cousin's mouth. Like, this isn't me just guessing. This is how he was in life, told to me by one of his closest relatives, and just very anti-law enforcement and stuff. So we've had people who are either security officers or ex-military members and stuff come in for the events, and they leave after like 2 hours, because that intensity that he brings, he's just always standing behind the mark. You can actually feel sometimes, it sounds like somebody's running up behind you, like coming right up on you, and it scares the living shit out of them. So you have these big ass like military dudes that are like, nope.
No, thank you. I'm going. Thank you for the experience and goodbye. Or probably didn't even do that much. I'm probably like, no, I'm out. Thank you.
Right.
But it's one heck of a feeling, though, isn't it? When you do have that, like, you go to location and you feel the eyes on you, and the energy in the air and everything else. So it must be, you know, one heck of a strong energy.
Well, that's the thing is with that, it's not just him. Like, I think it has a lot to do with what's going on in that building is definitely amplified by all of the Native American energy that surrounds it, and that's on top of it or below it, you know, basically. So that whole area of Broken Bow and Hochatown actually used to be the original settlement of the Choctaw and Caddo tribes. So the government decided to come in and basically give the people of Hochatown an ultimatum. And we're like, you can move your settlement or we're going to flood it out. And they knew they weren't going to move. So without warning, they flooded out the area and wiped out quite a few Cherokee and Caddo Nation members.
Wow.
So, and a lot of the battles between Native American and, I don't even like the term Native American, natives and American soldiers happened in that area, and it's 20 minutes right off of the Red River. And then it's in the middle of Hochatown Lake, which is the water that they like the lake that they use to overflow everything that they flooded Hochatown with. Like, you know, so you're just embedded in nothing but all of these amazing energy sources. And there are a lot of Sasquatch sightings in the area too. Broken Bow and Hochatown are huge for Sasquatch hunting.
I was just reading Mike Archer's comment. He said, lived in Lawton for 3 years, never heard of Broken Bow till now. Would have loved to have investigated. And he said, I wasn't a big fan of the part of Oklahoma I was stationed in, but yes, it sounds like an awesome location to investigate.
Yeah, it depends on I love all of Oklahoma only because I love the country. I love being just absolutely embedded in nature. I do not like cities. I don't like big buildings. I don't like shopping centers. Like, I need to see trees and open spaces. It's suffocating to me to be in cities. So, I mean, for people who are stationed, that's completely different. They put them in like the most remote areas, super away from stuff. So I can understand that you didn't like that. But if you ever get a chance, come up to Broken Bow because it is it's a beautiful area, and it has just so much history. Like, I've investigated at least 10 houses within that neighborhood, and then over like 15 businesses in Broken Bow. Because while I was doing the live, I get messages from people and be like, hey, you need to come to my flea market. It's like 2 blocks down. I have some really weird shit happening here. And so everybody like has instances. And I think, like, again, I said, a lot of that is tied into all of the Native American energy that is just embedded in it. As soon as you drive into this area, if you're a medium, psychic, whatever, I don't like those terms, but whatever we are, you can feel it. You literally, your vibrations just start to, your whole body just feels every inch of that raw power and energy coming from that area. It's really astounding.
Wow. So what personal experiences have you had there?
Oh man, what haven't I had there? So I'm usually alone. Until recently, I just added 2 more team members. I'd say like the mid-mark of last year, October. Not even the mid-mark, then the end of last year. But I'm usually by myself in these places. So especially when I'm alone, when I hear footsteps or I hear the talking and stuff, and no, it's not one of my other team members sitting in the other room or like coming up on me and stuff, it makes what I capture just a little bit more profound, because you don't have all of the other stuff to debunk or to sift through when you're going through review, you know? And so multiple times on lives, I've had my laser grid up and they're like, can you come into this room and sit with me? And you just see this huge full figure map out the entire grid, the middle of the grid basically. And then it looks like they're standing up and it looks like they go and sit. Like it's a silhouette of a person.
It's a silhouette
sitting down.
Changes position.
Yeah, we get a crawler a lot. This is one of the creepier ones to me. So there's one that likes to, I call her the skidder, because she crawls across the floor. She'll go from like hallway to hallway and loves doing it in the doorways to like creep people out.
That'll creep me out.
We've caught that multiple times, either like a shadow figure just moving across, and at one point we get it to where it's the laser grid on the wall, and you see this shape. Like we could see it, like with our bare eyes, we could see what looked like an older woman crawling on all fours and then look over at us and then keep going. And we caught it, the shadow, like the grid mapped out.
I was going to ask
like
if you had recorded any footage of it.
Yeah, and the top part where it looked like her head, when I said she looked like she looked at us, it even like mapped out on the thing. Like there was another like round spot. It was a weird thing. Yeah, we've caught so much weird stuff there. We've caught the doors opening and closing. Me personally, there have been multiple times where I've been either touched or I don't want to say, she's okay. So she doesn't try to hurt you, but it's because of how afraid she gets. I think the little girl that I told you is very prevalent there.
Yeah.
There have been multiple instances where other people in the events and stuff come to me and are like, my elbow really hurts. And it can be either side. My elbow really hurts, or like my arm right here really hurts, depending on how tall they are. And
okay.
I've always experienced that. And I've never told anybody that. So when other people on my events and stuff come to me and are telling me they're feeling the same thing, it's like, oh, so she seeks comfort with people. And so, like, you know, little kid when they're scared, how they grab onto their parent, you know, right here. It's like she always is just holding on to me. And it's weird because when I bring in other events and stuff, it doesn't happen to me near as bad. Like, she goes and hides with other people. But you'll have like bruises. Multiple people have had bruises like right here. And again, it's not like she's trying to hurt you. It's just, I think she gets a little scared. It's really weird, but we've had so many people have that instance. It's usually women. It's never men, except for my investigator. He was the first man that happened to. But he is really? He's a protector. But he is a protector. Oh yeah, he's definitely a protector.
So when you said, obviously you said you've got you're filming all the time and you've constantly got footage, what have you actually what else have you caught on camera then? So
besides the asylum?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of fun stuff. So again, what we do more than anything is not like public stuff, like things that we do for YouTube and stuff like that. You know, there's a huge influx of people who are doing this just to be seen. And like, I understand the allure of trying to find the answers or whatever, but we're ignoring a huge part of why we're supposed to be doing this, or maybe taking for granted the ability that we have knowing how to properly handle these situations. But most of what we do is our home cases. We do private investigations. We help people. It's not, you know, look at what we caught, look at what we did. We help people. But the things that we have caught, because I film stuff, but I don't like document it and put it out there for home cases. Of course, we never publicize our home cases.
And is it the home cases with the Warren Foundation?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's very private. It's very much you're there to help these people, and it's not for getting evidence or collecting evidence or anything like that. You're specifically there, to help the living and the passed on. That's why you're there. Just to put that out there to everybody. It's not a case of going into health cases or what people got in their homes. It is to help and support those people on both sides of the veil, basically.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest things with me is the documentary series that I do like little mini documentary series, but they're like 6 hours long because I don't cut anything out, and I don't edit it down to where it's like hokey and overdone. You just get a raw investigation and interaction with these spirits and stuff, you know? So like, for instance, at the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum, the first time I had gone, I got like shadow figures walking behind me, and lives like would swoop down from like one of the walls near a mirror or a case that had like Clyde stuff in it, and like shadow figure like about that big just swoop and then come like right behind me and like kind of sit there and then go back off. The EVP responses that we've gotten at those locations, just mind blowing. And then there was one time we were doing live, and the first time I was there, I kept getting, give me money, give me money, give me money. So I was like, I don't have any cash on me, but I'll bring you some cash next time, you know? So the next time I go, I bring money and I put it on the floor, and I'm like, hey, you take it? And the bill just starts going, like moving.
Yeah.
And everybody in the live is like, she's blowing on it, she's breathing on it. And I'm like, I swear to God, I'm not.
Of course they're going to say that. You're making it trap.
I even angled it to where like you could see like I was far away, like not doing anything. Like set my camera up to where it was just my camera in front of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fucked off. There's no air conditioner, there's no fan. And unless you're asking him to move it, it's staying completely still. My other investigators like off in the back filming from the other angle, so we have a bunch of angles where you can see it's clearly not me just like blowing on it. And if I blew on it, it wouldn't move. You know what I'm saying? It would like scoot across the floor.
Yeah, because surely
it was shaking like somebody was trying to pick it up. It didn't have enough energy. It was weird. Like they kept trying, but it just kept slipping out of their hands. It was amazing.
Oh, that is so cool. And what other locations have you been to? I'm sure you've been to multiple locations, but what's really stood out apart from your own location? What other places have really stood out for you?
Definitely Bonnie and Clyde. Mm-hmm. Definitely the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum and the Islanius Museum. I'm very big into history. I like a lot of our stuff to revolve around history. But also with the documentary series, it's taking the time to tell their stories and taking the time to listen to it the right way, not just assuming their stories. Sitting in these locations for 2-3 days, like straight, just doing, I call them therapy sessions. So I do the same thing with my spirits and energies over at the asylum. They're humans, regardless of whether or not, most of them at least. Most of the things that we deal with and interact with were humans at one point. And so it's like light growth sessions almost. So that's what we document in these locations. And in the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum, it made it so significant because I was never supposed to be able to have kids. Like I've been told my entire life, it's not in the books. Like since I was like 11 years old, I've had lots of medical issues to where it was never supposed to be possible. And in the course of getting to know Bonnie and Clyde, sorry.
Okay.
We got a lot of EVPs, like just straight up EVPs, not through Spirit Box, not through, apps, nothing like that. Straight through EVPs of her asking us to tell her story. Like the same woman's voice over and over again. Tell my story. What story do you want us to tell? They took my baby. And the entire time when I was connecting with her, I kept getting baby. I just kept getting baby, 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 and didn't know why. And then come to find out, I actually found the documents on this, that 3 months before they were shot down, she had visited a Texas doctor and I mean, it's in her records and everything, and he listed her as in a delicate state.
Oh.
Which, back then meant that she was pregnant. So I think to a certain extent the government actually knew that she was pregnant when they gunned them down and just didn't care because they didn't have an autopsy. They had an inquiry. Their bodies were sent straight to Arcadia. The coroner was basically like, cause of death, bullet wounds, and then sent them off to Dallas to be interred separately. They never did an autopsy. That was the weirdest thing to me. They wouldn't let the families do an autopsy. Like they wouldn't let them do that. And whether or not she was pregnant then, or maybe she lost her baby before that happened, she lost a baby at some point, and she wanted people to know that. She wanted, I don't know why, but that was her unfinished business, or that's the pain that she holds on to, Yeah. And then this is gonna get kind of graphic, but I had the Ovilus out, and like I rarely ever use that. And all of a sudden it goes last period. And I was like, this is really weird because I was on my period that night. And I was like, last period, what? Okay, whatever. Just kind of brushed it off. And then I go back.
Random, no?
Yeah, right. But I go back 3 months later, and Clyde, who like really didn't want anything to do with me unless I was trying to give him like cigarettes and stuff the first time I had gone, was just like right by me the whole time. Was just, even the other mediums who were in the chat were like, he's right up on you this time. Like, that's really weird. I don't know why. I had no clue why, but it was like he was more protective of me this time. And then come to find out a week later, I had been pregnant the whole time, and my conception date was the weekend, like the day of the ambush museum.
Oh.
And like an absolute miracle.
Wow.
So I truly believe like we help them just as much as they help us sometimes. If we take the time to listen to their stories and treat them like human beings, you know, and I think that's part of why I love what you guys are doing so much with this foundation, is because too often when we're still alive, we treat people like crap, or we don't really listen to people's stories. So then they end up, you know, taking their lives, or they feel like they're not loved. They feel like nobody listens.
Yeah.
And to give them that option in death when they didn't have it in life is just, I guess, the very least we could do, you know?
It's giving them a voice. It's giving them a voice after they've passed that they didn't, like you said, that they didn't have while they're on the earth plane. So it just gives them, and I suppose it also gives them closure, not just people when the living that are still here. It's also giving the deceased closure as well, because sometimes they have got things that have been left unsaid, especially if they've passed in that way, because they've not spoken to anyone and they've crossed in the way that they have.
Yes.
You know, so they need closure themselves.
Absolutely.
So, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's fine. I just want to check. I don't want to.
They're happy tears. Right. It's emotional to think about, because I mean, had I never been on this path, you know what I'm saying? I think about that all the time. Had I not gone on that journey, like, would he even be here? And I can't even imagine my life without him anymore. Like, I don't know what I did before him, but my life is all over now, you know? So, and I tried to name him Clyde, but my husband wouldn't let me.
I wonder why. Not even a middle name?
No, I tried so hard. I fought it. And I was like, you can name the next one whatever you want. I don't even care.
He's like, no, it's not having it.
Yeah. So he also wouldn't let me name him Goku, though. So, I mean, you know, he's just boring like that.
So, going back to the Warren Foundation, how long have you been part of the foundation?
That is a good question. So actually, fun fact, and Chris always likes to drop this fun piece of knowledge, and I am just taken aback and just completely blessed for this, but I'm the only person in the Warren Legacy Foundation that they actively reached out to get as part of their foundation. And I've been doing it for at least 2 years now, because I think more than anything, it was when I started. I mean, I've been dealing with the paranormal my entire life, but like truly putting my foot into the field and, you know, getting out there and doing stuff, it's about 3 years ago. And I was lost. I was like, what is going on? All of these people are going into these locations, and every single one of them is acting like Zach Baggins, and it's driving me nuts. Like, is there anyone out there who's not going in, being rude, provoking, just calling everything a demon? Like, where are the sane people at? You know, where is this at? And I happened upon him one day. I don't even remember how, but I was dealing with a home case. I was like, listen, I really, really need your help, because I'd heard so many great things about what he does and everything. And I was like, I really need your help. This lady has had 4 other teams come into her house and tell her that she has a portal to hell in her kitchen, that her home is swarming with demons, that she also has a portal to hell in her backyard. I shit you not. 2 portals to hell on this woman's property, okay? Like, just the most inane shit. And like, I go to this woman's house, and it's just her clutter. It's her lifestyle. She's creating all the energy that's going on in there. There is absolutely nothing else. There's definitely no portals in the house or on the land. And she refused to just listen to me. I'd tell her, she'd message me every like 20 seconds every day. Literally just boom, boom, boom. I'd get a billion ring doorbell messages because something set off her doorbell or, you know, this, that, and the third. And it's like, it's the cats that are walking right underneath. Like you have like 10 cats just swarming everywhere. Just all these different things. And she would not listen to me. So I was frustrated. Like, what do I do? Because I laid my whole case out for him, you know, of course, didn't mention any names or anything, but laid everything out. And I was like, and I don't believe that this is what's going on. And I think it was just as refreshing for him as it was for me to find someone who wasn't like, it's demon, she has portals to hell, and we need to
get
the whole house cleansed, you know? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. They're my family. Like, I honestly don't know. Without Catherine, oh my God. I have no idea where I would be without Catherine Cirillos and Chris, because my whole life I felt like I was absolutely batshit insane. Like, you know, when you watch Sixth Sense and they want to lock up little Haley Joel Osment because he sees dead people. So my whole life I'm like, I can't say anything because they're gonna lock me up. I'm crazy. I'm loony. Like, this is not right. You know? And they make it not just a safe place, but truly a family and a community. Like the way you can just depend on each other for help. We have people all over the world. That's the most beautiful thing to me about the foundation, is that we are not just in the United States. We have people literally in every part of the world that are taking these home cases. We have an entire army basically out there doing the groundwork, doing the homework for people that are just getting neglected now at this point. And
Chris is here at the moment. We had Chris and Catherine on yesterday. Catherine. Yeah, we had them both on yesterday, and we were chatting to them. Catherine is absolutely lovely. I've interviewed Catherine, Michelle, and Chris on so many occasions now.
Michelle is amazing too. And her story about the dolls earlier, she used to hide them. I used to tear the heads off and bury the heads in the front yard and bury the bodies in the backyard, because I was like, they can't get up and start walking if they're separated, right?
But then they're dismembered.
Yeah, because I always thought they'd come to life too. Like, I never really watched scary movies at that point. I was like 4 or 5 years old when this started. And it wasn't like, I'm decapitating, I want to kill something. It was like, if you don't have a head, you can't walk and see where you're going. You can't just randomly get up and try and attack me in the middle of the night. Cool. So I bury the heads in the front yard and bury the bodies in the back. And then probably around 7 years old, I was like in first grade, and I don't know what made me think of it, but it just popped into my mind. I'm like, what if they get up and start walking without their heads, or like they go and try and find their heads? That's even more terrifying. So I went and dug them all up and put their heads back on and threw them in the ocean.
Michelle and I have had the same conversation when it comes to dolls on so many different occasions. And the last festival we did, actually Eddie and I, my husband, we interviewed Michelle last time as well. So it's actually one of the few people that he actually interviews is Michelle. It's Michelle actually, but we've interviewed them on multiple occasions about different things and so on.
They're just a treasure trove. Treasure trove, those guys. I mean, anything that you could think of. I mean, between the three of them, they're like, I call them the trifecta of knowledge, because between the three of them, they can cover every single topic, and they teach you so much about yourself. They really do. Like, people who have abilities, and that's one of the things that also, I guess, plays into this whole why I wanted to be, or why I supported doing this, because I struggle with mental health issues. It's taken me a very long time to actually sit there and come out about it, because there's such a huge stigma behind it. If you come out and you're like, hey, this is what I have, then you're automatically just crazy and broken to people,
and
regardless of whether or not.
In the paranormal field, well, even, no disrespect to anybody out there, but even more so if you're in the paranormal field, it's like you watch these different, not just shows, but YouTube's interviews and so on, and and I've heard it before in an interview when someone's saying about, oh yeah, well, these people that I can't remember, a long time ago I watched something claiming to be medium, psychics, whatever you want to call us, but then they were putting it down to mental health. And it's like, no, it's not, because how many thousands, millions of people, if it's not everyone that has some type of anxiety or depression or so on.
Yes.
If that's the case, then every single person that has any sort of problems like that what are they, all psychics and mediums then? Is that what you're saying? Because
exactly.
I have watched stuff and I'm like, seriously, I get really wound up. And I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is, because I've had mental health problems during my lifetime, it all stems because I think that I speak to the dead and have done since I was a child. Okay, right, okay. So basically what you're saying is I've brought this on myself.
Exactly. And then again, it plays into the whole, it's not just a stigma, it becomes a hindrance. People don't want to work with us then. People don't want their names attached because then we're labeled as the crazy people. And
well, people were, weren't they, years ago? You've gone from being witches to you're crazy. There's something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah.
So you know, in the different centuries, you've been one or the other. You've either been crazy, or you've been a witch, or you're possessed by the devil. There's something seriously wrong with you. You know, that's what, you know what I mean. It's
yes,
that's kind of
that
the way.
Just reminded me of the Monty Python sketch. Does she float?
But it's true, isn't it? It's the same.
It really is. And I mean, because again, they're all different ways. Like you said, like, you know, they were persecuted before, again, called witches. You know, there's a whole, I don't even know how to word it, but there's a cog in the system of humanity. Like, we are so shut off and so fearful of anything different or anything that is not ingrained in what we are raised to believe. Exactly. So when anybody, regardless of whether it's paranormal, politics, anything, when anything disrupts that little bubble that most people have made for themselves, it's like a caged animal. They're going to attack. And we're attacking instead of having conversations. We're acting in anger instead of discussing. And with any field, with any aspect, no matter whether it be mental health issues or health issues, or maybe just issues we have with one another, communication needs to be more normalized. And we need to understand that not everything's a fight. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that just because they bring something to you or bring something up, like it's going to be met with hostility and it's going to be anger and there's going to be a fight. And we need to all calm down and step back from it and wonder why people are reacting to us like that more than anything. You know, if somebody's afraid to come and say something to me, then have I not made a safe space for you, really? You know, and try and be empathy. It drives me nuts because everybody, I ask people all the time, do you know the meaning of empathy? And they give me the definition of sympathy. Empathy is absolutely and completely different. It's so much easier to be sympathetic. It's so much easier. But being truly and genuinely empathetic, again, not just being in that other person's shoes, but truly trying to understand their viewpoint, their side, their plight, like whatever they may be going through. And taking on somebody else's hardships is like too much. You know, it's too much to handle for most people. I have my own problems. I don't need to deal with yours. But if we all took just a little bit more time to help each other with our problems and stuff, you know, I mean, imagine the lives we'd still have here. Imagine the people we'd still have around.
Yeah, the amount of souls and that we could have helped, supported, and saved. You're right. We've been talking for so long already. I want to talk to you about Storming the Unknown.
Oh,
anybody doesn't know what that is. So if anybody doesn't know what it is, and where to find it.
Storming the Unknown is the podcast that I started about 2.5 years ago. My middle name is Storm because I had young parents that, were super into X-Men and stuff. So just kind of roll with my namesake because I used to hate it. I used to be like, it's a stripper name. Oh, it's so gross. Then I was like, you know what? I'm a weird fucking person. I have a weird name. You know what? Let's roll with it. And started Storming the Unknown. And more than anything, my podcast it was supposed to be different from a lot of the ones that are out there. Everyone is striving to have the same TV names. Most podcasts are the same names over and over and over again. It's the same 20 people that have been on TV shows that are being interviewed 30 billion times on everybody's shows. And it's like, well, it's just the same thing as Paracons. We're only hearing from the same 20 people in this field on multiple platforms all around the world, the same 20 people. How does that let us learn? How does that help us understand what's going on? There's no knowledge to be gained from listening to the same person talk 20, 30 billion times over.
Yeah.
In the same ways too. You have to understand that there was asking the same questions. You watch them and literally every single one of them was asking the same questions. So these people are just repeating themselves constantly. And I was like, I don't want that.
I hate that.
I want normal, everyday people to just come on and talk about weird shit with me. So my show is just run of the day, everyday investigators, UFO people who are UFO enthusiasts, cryptozoologists and stuff. We talk about serial killers and murder mysteries and things like that. But it's for the normal person. It's for all of us. It's so other teams can come on and share their captures, share their experiences, share their point of view, because we have so much to learn from each other. I love having new people on every Monday because I learn so much from everybody. There's never a point where everything. And when we put that cap on ourselves, it's a very big disservice to ourselves, honestly. And so you have people from all different types of walks of life who have different viewpoints on how they investigate, or different techniques on how they investigate. And just, it's so beautiful to hear everyone's story, not just the same people over and over again. Now, I will say I've had some pretty awesome guests on my show, only because I truly enjoyed their work in the field. Recently I just had on Nick Groff, and I was fangirling the whole time.
Sorry.
I was fangirling.
We had him on our last festival that we did back in October. So I got to interview him then.
He's super down to earth. He's a normal ass person, and it's so weird because I was like, okay, Ashley, you're fine.
Jolie was like, just calm down. Just calm down. And I'm like, I can't. We're talking to Nick. He's just a person. I'm like, I know. But exactly. And she was like, it's just Nick. And I'm like, yeah, but to you, he's just Nick because you've known him. You've actually known him and spoken to him on multiple occasions and actually know him as a person. I said, whereas for me, he's Nick Groff off the TV. So...
And it's funny because I don't like Ghost Adventures.
But he's funny because he's so comfortable and puts you at ease so quickly that you kind of forget who you're talking to.
Yeah, because and my thing is I hate Ghost Adventures. Every single show of mine, somebody always brings up Zach Baggins, because that's another thing. Is my show is a paranormal Q&A forum. Everybody comes together and just asks whatever question they have, and we'll just answer them for you. And every single show, at least one person brings up either Ghost Adventures and Zach Bagans or the Elmo voice and shit that I do. So it's like I told you, it's literally a shit show. But I started off my show with Nick as, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the one person paranormal TV that I haven't talked shit about. Nick Groff. He loved it. It was fun.
I bet he loved that. I bet he laughed at that.
Oh, he did. Oh, it was pretty awesome. It was fun.
Yeah, Mike said no, and Nick rocks because Nick is Mike's second boss at Viddy Space. So Bless him. But yeah, he was really interesting when we spoke to him, like the last time. And the thing is, like you said, it's having a variety. See, it's having a variety of people, from well-known people to, like you said, other teams and stuff that aren't known, and finding out about them and their captures. Like obviously earlier this morning, we played a video from West London Paranormal, which are a team over here. They have a YouTube channel and they are fantastic people, and I've got a lot of respect for them. And so we played some of their stuff this morning because they've done so much and they've got so much fantastic evidence and so on. So we kind of do that over here. We've got shows and stuff that we do during the week, and we do the same thing. We have different teams on, and try and bring different people to the platform that you probably wouldn't normally see, or don't normally get given a voice or given time of day, sort of thing, apart from their own pages and their own YouTubes and stuff. So I think it's a great thing to do. And like the fact that you said you can go from having someone like that's unknown to someone that's massively known. And I think that's really important because, like you said, no disrespect to anyone, but you do tend to get the same questions, the same people. It's like I interviewed Brandon Alvis last week, and I didn't want to ask him all the same. What's your favorite location? All the same questions and stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Look at my face, Karen. Look at it. I'm so tired of being asked that question. Because I'm on a lot of podcasts too, and I'm like, bro, there has been one podcast that I was just blown away because I was like, thank you for not asking me the same fucking question a billion times. Like, this will not be my 7th billion time saying that my favorite location is, or this is how I got started, you know. And at a certain point, I was on the last podcast I was on. He asked me, you know, how'd you get started? And I was like, for the billionth time. And I was just like, you know, basically the same way everyone else did. Had an experience when I was little, and, you know, here we are. Like, just I know these people have heard that story at least 30 times. At least 30 times, you know? It's just, we need knowledge. We don't need the same story over and over again. Delve deeper into it. Have real conversations. Like, get down to the nitty-gritty. Go down the rabbit hole. Do not be afraid of the rabbit hole. Go super deep.
Well, this is why with like these festivals that we do, this is the 3rd one now. So with the festivals, we try not to interview. If we do have the same people back, like Michelle, Catherine, and Chris, you know, I think they've pretty much been on. I think they've been on all 3 of them now that we've done. They're probably the reoccurring guests. They're probably one of very few reoccurring guests that we've had each time. But it's because they've all got something different to bring to the table every time, and something different to talk about. So we do try and have different people doing the interviews. So you do have different questions and you do cover different things. Like with Michelle, this time around, we talked about stuff that we've not touched on before. So I think that's a good thing to do. And like you said, don't get me wrong, sometimes you do, you know, I admit it, I hold my hands up, I do sometimes ask the same generic questions, but it's because I've not seen them on something and I want to know what their answer is going to be, because I want to know myself. So when I do these things, it's not the case of I'm, no disrespect, audience, but I always have like my certain questions, like I want to know that. And I want to know that, but it's kind of questions that the public probably wouldn't want to know and don't want to ask because they're not interested. It's like when you're talking, you know, when you go out on an investigation, it's like the same there, generic questions and stuff. Like, so we'll turn around and Eddie's the one, my husband, for this. If you're like, we're asked things like, what was your favorite food? What you like eating? You know, just random off the cuff questions, not why are you here? How long have you been here? Why have you not crossed? And you know, the same ones every time. So yeah, we're really random, and we're like, even with the not just the living, it's both sides. We have to ask really random questions,
Yeah.
I've been looked at before and I'm like, so what was your favourite food? or something like that. What colour do you like? You know, just stuff like that. Because it's like, they're not questions that are asked.
Sorry. I fell. I don't have my camera station set up yet, so I'm on my phone. I fell.
She's not drunk, honestly. Just because it's 2 a.m.
Yeah. I might be from New Orleans, but I'm not that 504. Okay.
So what can you, because we're starting to run out of time. Yeah, what's your favorite song? That's another one that we like to ask. I just commented. That's another question. Yeah, we do ask that one. Like, what's your favorite song? What music do you like? You know, because
I love everything. And okay, most people when they say they love everything are like, yeah, they listen to every genre. Like, okay, I listen to fucking pirate shanties and like Russian bell music and just like people normally look at me like, what the fuck is wrong? And I'm like, yar, like just pirate shanties all up in my car and shit. I love rap. I love to rap. I love all types of music, classical music especially. I love opera style music. I love everything. I love Elvis. I love everyone. I love the Temptations. I love Motown era music. I really think I was born in the wrong era, but then also again because of my skin color, I think I was born maybe in the right era because I wouldn't have survived back then because I don't take shit from anybody. And had somebody come up to me because of the color of my skin, I'd been like, pop, pop. But thank you. So I was born in the right era, I guess.
So going back to music and things, I completely forgot what I was going to say there. It's literally my brain just gone. What was it?
I tend to do that to people.
Have you done that? Have you actually been to a location and actually played music from
all the time? Era? It's a wonderful trigger. Yes, and we play era music. So when we went to the East Lanos Museum, I actually found like tracks from Canary Island music from like the early 1800s. Like cool. And play those things. So I always find period music. And like at the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum, I actually played them songs that had to do with them. And I was like, you guys wanted to be famous, you wanted notoriety. And here you are, like literally 40, 50 years later. And here's, you have music, and you have songs, you have movies about you. And that was a huge trigger for them. That's when everything like kind of just started rolling. Once I started playing their songs and showing them they had movies and stuff, it was just nonstop after that.
That's amazing. We have literally come to the end pretty much. We've not got long left. So where can everybody find you? Where can they check you out?
So Storming the Unknown podcast, you can find it on the Paranormal United Network. That's live on Mondays from 7 Central Standard Time. Next week, actually not this Monday coming up because in observance of MLK Day, we're not doing a show. But next week, I actually have Dan LaFave, who is a UFO Air Force experience type guy. He's had lots of experiences with UFOs in his Air Force days. And then at 8, and I'm super excited about this one because serial killers and murders and like just that's my thing. And I have Jeff Mudgett, H.H. Holmes's great-great-grandson, who wrote all the books on H.H. Holmes, who's on American Ripper. He will be on my show on next Monday on the 25th at 8.
And that's the thing. These cool things is when you do these shows and you do these things, it means that you get to speak to people you probably never would have ever got to speak to before.
No. And I get to creep on them. I'm like, hey, I don't know you, but please be on my show. Tap, tap, tap. Please be friends with me.
Trust me, I know how that goes, especially like for these festivals and stuff. I'm like, hi, you don't know me, but I basically want your time for this.
Exactly. And then you can also,
thank you very much.
Right. And you can also find the podcast, like all the archives of it, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, like anywhere you get a podcast, you can find Storming the Unknown. We have it on the YouTube channel as well. I'm working on making YouTube a bigger platform for the show. But you can follow Profoundly Paranormal on YouTube, on Facebook, anywhere, type it in, you'll probably find us. And make sure you're following the Warren Legacy Foundation. If any of you are interested in working home cases and helping us, please go to the website and fill out the applications for teams. Make sure you check out Paranormal Bully Busters. Part of what I run is a campaign against anti-bullying, but we also spread crisis resource information. So we all use our social media platforms to spread all of this information from anti-bullying to vet help, suicide awareness, child trafficking. I mean, anything you could think of resource-wise, we have it, and it's all available on our Paranormal Bully Busters page. And we put it on the end of all of our shows, everything. So the resources are there. They are 24 hours. Please reach out and get help if for any type of problem you may be facing. Reach out and get help. And I care. If you don't think anybody else in your life cares, I might not even know you, but I do. So please reach out, use these hotlines, 24 hours and completely anonymous.
I want to thank you, Ashley, for joining me. Thank you, guys. Head over now to the next up is Barry Frankish. So go over and see what he's got to say and enjoy the interview. Enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget, we do not finish until 8 p.m. GMT today. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Take care. You go get some sleep. Everybody else that is over here.
You go get some snacks.
Go get some snacks. Yeah, go get some snacks. Good idea. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.